Hey, Will here from MachineLovUs.com. So, in this episode of the Casper Learning series, the Casper Writing NLP series, what I'm going to do is work on the previous episode where I built out the code that would create a newsletter from Reddit articles that we've been storing in a database. And now I actually want to, one, be able to um, automate that with AWS, but also to get that in via a service like TinyLetter, which is nice. Or I think I'm going to use Mailchimp because it has an API that we can use. So just to recap, at the end of the last episode, this is a little cleaned up version of the code, but we had something that pulled articles of interest out of our database in AWS, uh, and subject to some criteria, put those articles into a newsletter. It also summarized them. I'm going to take the summarization out because I don't want to use it, but you can use the text summarization to create summarizations of these articles that are going in. So I'm going to remove that. It's just more bloat that I'm adding in here, and I don't really need it. So what I'm going to do is jump into, before I get into anything, I did a test run of this, and this is the email that I want to be able to send. I sent it through TinyLetter. I had to do some formatting to get it done. Now, not all of this is automated. The parts that are automated are the actual getting of the links. And I think what I might do is add some of my own take on some of these links instead of having them summarized. But, finding these links and putting them into the body of the email is something that you can do. Even finding this nice little piece of art to put in the newsletter is something that we can automate. And then using Mailchimp and AWS, we can have that happen every week on a rhythm. And then we just put the final touches on it and send it out. So let's get to it. All right, so the first thing that I'm going to do is look at a Mailchimp API. So I want to run through the entirety of getting a Mailchimp campaign set up before I put this on Lambda. And there's this nice little package that I think I'll use called Python-Mailchimp using a new API. So let's see, I'm sure I can just pip install it. Mailchimp, pip install Mailchimp 3. So this is more of a live coding episode because I haven't done this yet with Mailchimp. I did it with TinyLetter. I haven't done it with Mailchimp. But what I'm going to need to do is get an API key, it seems. What I really want is to be able to make a campaign. So I need to create a campaign. Client campaign folders.create. I think that's what I'm going to use. I'm not sure exactly what kind of data this is going to need. Client.campaigns.create. Okay, so I'm going to go through the process of getting this set up. I think what I'm going to need to do is figure out what my API key is and then work from there. Okay, so that works. So it's your profile API key, so you don't need to create an application. Okay, then let's just follow along here. Let me put in my API key up here. Okay. All right. So what I want to do is create a campaign. Okay, so let's see this. Return all campaigns. Let me back out. I need to be able to see what this is. Okay, so I have 3 campaigns. That sounds fine. Okay, so this is all the data from that client. Okay, so let's say campaigns, 0. Okay. Okay, so this is what the data looks like for a campaign. Okay, so I want to be able to create a campaign. Okay, so with help, you can see all the methods. Data, method of Mailchimp, 3 entities, campaigns, campaign instance, recipients object, list ID, string settings, subject, from, reply to, validate, type, recipients object, list ID, string, dict. Okay. So I need some recipients, and they need to be an object. Okay, so how do I get my list? I want to send this to some test email accounts. Even just sending to my personal email would be fine. So let's see my lists. Okay, so I have a list that has just me on it. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to create an email and send it to myself. Okay, so I need my list ID. And I don't know what my list ID is, so is there a name? Okay, there's a name. Okay, so I need the list. This equals. I'm going to get the list name. If it's Casper, that's just my list. String object. Oh, it's a dictionary. Okay, so this list is a dictionary. So we're fighting with, okay, so actually what I want is lists. Okay. Okay, so I have my list. And my list ID, I should have 2. Okay, great. So this is my list. This is where I want to send this, just to myself. Okay, so now if I create a campaign, recipients, okay, so campaign recipients must have a list ID. Okay, so my list ID. So let's see if that works. Campaign recipients must have a list ID. Okay, so help client campaigns create. Okay, recipients object. list ID. Let's see. Oh, okay. List ID. Okay, so let's see. List ID. Campaign must have settings. Okay, great. Subject line from name reply to. Okay. Subject line test. Test. And what was the other one? From name. Okay. Okay. So so what I'm doing now is just filling out, trying to test out the basic settings here for this, for working with the Mailchimp API. Apply to from name. So it should work like that. String passed in is not valid. So I think the reply to must be an email address. So let's try that. Campaign must have a type. Okay. So we go from error to error. Okay, so what is the type? Must be regular plain text, RSS. Okay, so let's just do plain text. Type equals plain text. Okay, invalid syntax. So what do I need to put it in as? Maybe as a dictionary. Still in this other dictionary. Okay. Okay, so that should have created this campaign. It looks like it did. So let's see. Let me see in my email if I received an email. So I didn't get an email, but let's see if I have a campaign now. Okay, so it created a campaign. This is great, which is a draft. Excellent. Okay. Okay, great. So the problem was I don't have any content in there. So where is the content? Recipients, settings, RSS type. Create a new Mailchimp campaign. Okay, so where do I put in the content for the campaign? I have to be able to put content somewhere. Campaign content. Okay, so if I have a campaign, then I can update it with content. Got it. So this created a new campaign, and now I'm going to update it with content. Okay, so I need to save this. Just saving it in its raw form so I don't lose it. Okay. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is get the campaign, and then I'm going to update the campaign. Okay, so I just lost the ID. Okay, so let's do this. New campaign. Our new campaign. So, if we're starting from scratch, this is what we need. Okay, so let's do this. So, I'm just going to leave this there as as something to reference. All right, so with the Mailchimp API, what we need to do is create this dictionary called data, and it has to have recipients in it. And those recipients are a list ID. Now, previously we got a list that we wanted to send to. So this is my list object, and it has my list. I think it's an object. It might just be, well, it looks like a dictionary. So it has a dictionary with an ID. And then you have to put in settings, which has a subject line, test campaign, and then you need a subject line. Oh, we did subject line. We need a reply to, which is an email address. Okay, and then we need a from name. Okay, so we have this dictionary, which is what we need. Oh, we also need a type. Okay, so I have type, and for me this is just going to be plain text, because this is going to be just the default vanilla thing that we need. Okay, so this is our data. Okay, now from this data we create a new campaign, which is going to be client.campaigns.create data equals data. The campaign must have settings. So where did I get this wrong? Let's look at data again. Okay, so what I got wrong, let's build out data again, is that this is closed. Okay, and then settings is its own thing. And this is data. Okay, so new campaign. Okay, so new campaign dot content dot update. So let's take a look at that. update. Okay, method campaign update settings, campaign ID, data, subject line. Okay, I don't want that. I want content.update. Okay, so update, help on method update module, method of Mailchimp 3, campaign instance, set the content. Campaign ID, the request body parameters. Okay. So campaigns.content. So type, if I check type of new campaign, it's a dict. Interesting. Okay, so what I'm instead going to do, content update. Let's just try this. Okay, campaign ID, which is going to be new campaign. ID and data is going to be some test data. Okay, so what happened? Schema describes object found string. Okay. So data doesn't have to have message. Okay, so that worked. So we created a, okay, so we have Mailchimp. We now have it connected via our API keys. We're able to create a campaign, and then we're able to update that campaign with test data. So if I go back to Mailchimp now, in my campaign builder, enter your content here. Okay, beautiful. All right, so that is what I needed to do. Okay, so what do we have? We have, so just to recap, we now have the ability with these two things to, one, create a campaign. Okay, one, create a campaign. And it's fine that it's just sending it to, it's just updating this list. That's fine. Update message information, because I want to review all of these emails before I send them out. I don't want to send them out automatically, not just yet anyway. And so with this code, I have both been able to create a campaign and enter in data and send it to myself. And I was able to do that because I already had a list with just myself on it, just to test this out. Maybe in the future I could create drafts, but for the moment, I just want to be able to ensure that I'm not sending garbage out to users and spamming them. Okay, so what did I do? So to recap, the important things about this Mailchimp in regards to creating a campaign and then sending it, filling it with content and sending it to yourself. So you want to be able to have a list already set up in your Mailchimp folder. You want to be able to get your API keys that you would need anyway to put into your WordPress app if you have one of those. Okay, and then with this campaigns.create, client.campaigns.create, you pass in data to that. And then once you have that, what you do is you pass in content update. Okay, so with these two, very simple API calls, what are we able to do? We're able to create a campaign, and then we're able to update it with information. And that's what we're going to use in order to automate this with AWS Lambda, to have it run, say, every Wednesday, and then fill it with this information, save it to drafts in Mailchimp, and then we can take it from there. So that's all I'm going to do for today. I thought I'd be able to get further, but we'll save that for the next video this week. Guys, thank you for subscribing, for tuning in, for all your comments and questions, and I will catch you later.